So if you're having difficulties taking your first steps towards achieving your goals or even living your dream life, then I'm glad you're watching this video, because in this video, we'll be talking about the possible reasons you haven't taken your first steps yet and how to get past that. And if you're just seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Ogi. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So let's get into the video. So we all know the important role that research plays in every aspect of our lives, especially if you're trying to start like a new venture and things like that. That is a very important step. But we also know that too much of everything is bad. And if you have been stuck in your research phase for the past 6 months to a year, then you probably have too much information. And that is why you are struggling. So I think if you don't take anything out of this video, take this. You do not need more research. If anything, I think you should go on to throw out all the research that you have been doing in the past 6 months and just stick to the first page, because that's probably all you need to take your first steps towards achieving your goals. You probably want everything to be perfect before you start. You want to know what your business will look like 10 years from now, forgetting the fact that you haven't even started, you haven't even registered the business, or you know what you want to happen to that imaginary business 10 years down the line. So this is what the problem is. You are so focused on what should happen, you're focused on all the information that you're forgetting that you're not even a part of the market. You haven't even started. If you're really interested in taking your first steps towards achieving your goals or towards living your dream life, you need to understand that you don't need that much information to start. Another thing I want you to know is that if you're starting anything new, mistakes are bound to happen. It doesn't matter how prepared you are, it doesn't matter how ready you are, mistakes are bound to happen. And 9 out of 10 times, those mistakes have nothing to do with you. It just comes to the territory, it comes to starting something that you're not familiar with. So nobody's expecting you to be perfect at first, and you need to be okay with that. And I think that's probably why you haven't taken your first steps yet, because you're trying to eliminate the possibilities of making mistakes. But you can spend like 10 more years on that research, and chances are you're still going to make a mistake. Now, what I'll advise you to do is that just start. I know I keep saying that in all of my videos, just start, but I promise you guys, nothing beats feedback. Nothing beats feedback in real time. The major point in this section is to get comfortable with making mistakes, because chances are you will always make them, and that is totally fine as long as you're willing to learn, as long as you're willing to try things out and see what works and see what doesn't work. Another reason you haven't taken your first steps towards achieving your goals is probably because you're focused on too many things at the same time, and you're already overwhelmed before even taking the first steps. Now, I'll give you the advice that my mom gives me when I find myself in a fight that I cannot win. She will tell you to look around and pick the person that you know you can inflict the most harm on. Now, you make sure you do your best to beat the living daylight out of that person, so that even after the fight, when you're spotting a black eye, you can look back and be like, well, I did that and I'm proud of myself. So that's exactly what you should do with like your new ventures, or like even starting a YouTube channel. You may not be the best at editing or at even, making thumbnails and the rest of them, but you are probably good at talking. You're probably good at expressing yourself. You're funny, you're witty, you can press record. Now you can start from there. You can focus on that. And what this does to you is that it helps you build confidence. When you make 5 videos, you make 10 videos, you'll be like, well, I don't know how to edit, but let me try it, because I have seen that I can do this, so I probably will be able to do that. Now, the last reason you haven't taken your first steps could be that you are making things too difficult. Honestly, not everything has to be rocket science, and research has shown that simple things work, and a lot of times they work more than the most complex things. So I'd advise you that if you're struggling with taking your first steps, I would advise that you strip everything to the barest minimum. Remove all the accessories, remove all the glamour, remove all the just remove the fluff. Okay, for example, I'll use YouTube as an example again, because it's just so easy to use. If you want to start a YouTube channel, you can remove the fluff. You don't need a camera, you don't need a fancy light, you don't need an Epidemic Sound subscription, you don't necessarily need all of those things. You can just press record and start, and it's the same thing with even starting a business. Sometimes you're focused on too many things at the same time, and you're making the whole process too difficult for you, who is supposed to be a beginner at this, you're expecting too much from yourself. Just get comfortable with just doing things simply. Focus on trying to make things as simple as possible and look for possible ways to help yourself. For example, if you want to be a writer, you don't know where to start, just start by journaling. Start by writing 1 page a day. Do your morning pages. Do one thing or the other that will just make the whole process seem less daunting. So I hope this video makes sense to you, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you stick around, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Mwah!